Wonder Woman Flight of Courage is the newest roller coaster to open up at Six Flags Magic Mountain. It was their 20th roller coaster, continuing Magic Mountain's record of having the most roller coasters at one single park. It's a very impressive record, but what is also impressive is how Magic Mountain managed to fit this ride into this space. Flight of Courage is the new anchor attraction in this DC Universe area. The ride takes up the former station of Green Lantern First Flight, one of the most hated roller coasters ever built. I did have the opportunity to experience the attraction one time, which was in the summer of 2016. I can't say it was a very pleasant experience, but if you never got the chance to ride it, you can ride an exact clone of it at Grunelund. It is called Insane. I recently had the opportunity to experience that ride again and was reminded why Magic Mountain removed Green Lantern in the first place. So that station and queue has sat there for a while. Magic Mountain also removed a water ride called Tidal Wave. So between those two attractions, they were able to fit in a pretty decent sized roller coaster. If you've been to Six Flags Great Adventure and ridden Jersey Devil, this ride is going to feel almost identical. It is a near clone of that attraction. Same trains and same layout for the most part. They just had to do a couple modifications in order to accommodate for the station. So while Jersey Devil is just straight out and back, Wonder Woman has to take a right-hand turn when it exits the station, and then likewise has a slightly modified ending to accommodate for where the brake run and station are located. So of course that has people wondering, which experience is better? Jersey Devil or Wonder Woman Flight of Courage? And I'll get to that towards the end of the video, but I'll walk through the ride experience first. When you enter this new plaza, you're greeted with this entrance sign in this really cool station building. It's called the Embassy of Themyscira. You enter what is actually a pretty cool room. Think of it kind of like a museum hall. You'll see swords and shields from Themyscira, which is the place that Wonder Woman is from. There's a map of her island, some descriptions of some of the characters within that mythology, and overall it's a very nice looking room, and it's a shame that that theming did not continue for the rest of the queue, because after you exit that room, you might as well be in a tin box. I imagine this is what the inside of an oven or a microwave would look like. If you've ridden any of the Batman the Ride clones, think about how those queues are traditionally set up. This fits right in, which I mean, I guess Wonder Woman's located right next to Batman, so at least it's consistent, but this is bare bones. I mean, even when you enter this station, I mean, I'll be honest, it looks terrible. It's probably the worst station I've ever seen. It feels like they didn't even try. Like, guys, at least put up a sign or something. They did a nice job with that opening room and then just forgot everything else. Six Flags, I know you can do better. Now, much like Jersey Devil, Wonder Woman Flight of Courage has a moving loading station. You'll take your seat, you'll pull down your restraint. This is a metal bar that goes over your lap, and then there are some shoulder straps. These restraints seem to be hit or miss for some people. I've never minded them, but I have heard for some people who might be a bit larger, or those straps really feeling like they're digging into your shoulders. I guess I'm just kind of used to them by now that they didn't bother me. Something that is kind of cool though is with this ride, they have pouches on the train for you to put your phone in, which is cool. They're nowhere near as strict with this ride as they are Jersey Devil. I mean, when you go to ride Jersey Devil, you can't have anything in your pockets. If they see you with a phone, you're out of line. You got to go put it in a locker. It's not like that at all with Wonder Woman Flight of Courage. They actually have their locker area partway through the queue, right before you enter the station, which is the kind of Velocicoaster approach of, oh, you can have your phone with you for the first part of the line, and then you put everything away, and then you're good to go for a very short wait before you get on. Except the problem is that this locker area is an absolute disaster. It is very confusing. It's vague as to where to enter and where to exit, and everything becomes very clustered. It gets so crowded in that room. But something I do appreciate is that they actually have free smaller lockers that don't even require a code. You can just store your smaller items in there right before you ride, or you can put your larger items in a full traditional locker. So the way the park approached loose items here is very interesting. Some things definitely better than others. When you dispatch out of the station, you're going to take a right-hand turn and start up your 131 foot tall lift. 131, that is the key here. This ride is 1 foot taller than Jersey Devil, officially making this the tallest single rail coaster in the world. Do you notice a difference while riding? Not even slightly. The actual speed is the same as Jersey Devil, 58 miles per hour. And like I said, all of those individual elements are the same until you get to the very end. So if you've watched my Jersey Devil review or ridden it yourself, you know what to expect. But I'll still walk through these elements because this is a very fun layout. You crest over and go straight into a vertical drop. In the back row, you absolutely get yanked over this thing. You're right up against the ground and twist into a dive loop. It's a very fast-paced element, really throws you around. And when I went to do Wonder Woman Flight of Courage, there was no line, so we got to marathon this thing quite a bit, literally to the point where we were staying in our seats. And this ride is so well paced that when you're just marathoning this thing over and over again, everything really just blends together. You just feel like a rag doll. It's awesome. Following that dive loop, you have a big Airtime Hill, real strong camelback, absolutely get thrown out of your seat there, and that sends you into a 0G stall. These things are always a ton of fun. There is a stall already in this park with Twisted Colossus, but that stall is a little bit different because it's nowhere near as elongated, plus you also have the track right below it, so it feels very different. I know that was one thing some people were wondering when Magic Mountain decided to build this ride as well. This is their second roller coaster they're adding from Rocky Mountain Construction. How different is it going to feel? The Raptor track versus the iBox track does not feel similar almost at all. I think the average person would look at these two rides and not realize they are built by the same company. Like, for instance, one of the big differences between this and Twisted Colossus is Twisted Colossus may be older, but it is a lot smoother than a Wonder Woman Flight of Courage. For being a brand new ride, this is not the smoothest experience. It's rougher than Jersey Devil. I'm not sure the exact reason why that might be. Part of me thinks that it might be because this track was sitting out for a while before it opened. This roller coaster got delayed due to COVID. It's supposed to open a lot earlier than it did. So I don't know if that has something to do with it. Maybe not at all. It might have to do with the train design or maybe how the park is maintaining it. But it's probably the roughest of the Raptor coasters. And that's coming from someone who's done all of them at this point. I wouldn't say it's like drastically different. Like, all of the Raptors have a little bit of a bite to it. None of them are as smooth as those iBox coasters. That's definitely something I was surprised about upon experiencing this one. But anyways, after that stall, you go into this fast-paced turnaround. In the front row, you get absolutely ejected entering this turn. You get thrown up, bank quickly to the right, and then drop back down. In the back, you go flying. You hit your final inversion, which is a 0G roll, and then that's when you enter your mid-course. So that's the halfway point of the coaster, and when you experience Jersey Devil at Six Flags Great Adventure, it feels like from there on out, the second half is kind of sluggish, so it's a little bit lackluster. It's certainly better now than when it initially opened, but I can confidently say it did not feel that way under Wonder Woman Flight of Courage. I think the second half of this ride is where you'll notice the biggest differences. To be honest, the first half of both coasters feels the exact same, with the only differentiating point that, yes, Wonder Woman is just a little bit rougher than Jersey Devil. After you drop off that mid-course, you enter a left-hand bank turn underneath that dive loop, and then you enter a series of twisted airtime hills. At the apex of each of these hills, they're banked a little bit to the side, so you're gonna go right, you're gonna go left. And on Jersey Devil, this is where you would take some bunny hops into the brake run, which is straight ahead of you. But on Wonder Woman, you're gonna enter one of its tallest airtime moments in the second half. It's a really strong hitting hill that doesn't exist on Jersey Devil. You drop down and then bank to the left. And this overbank passes over the pathway, and that's when you enter your brake run. It feels like a lot stronger of a finale. It just feels better paced. And I like those two final moments more so than those low airtime hills straight into the brake run. I went into this expecting it to feel exactly like the roller coaster I had previously experienced, but I was surprised when I walked away liking Wonder Woman Flight of Courage more than Jersey Devil. Not by a ton. I mean, realistically, I would probably put these two rides right next to each other in my RMC rankings, this just one spot ahead of the other. But it's just interesting to me how a couple of those small changes can go a long way. But all of that being said, I still think that I prefer those smaller Raptor coasters more so than these larger ones. Rides like Wonder Woman Lasso of Truth at Six Flags Fiesta Texas are just absolutely insane. It may be a shorter ride experience, but it feels more relentless and fast-paced. So I still do put that one over this. But for Wonder Woman Flight of Courage's final score, I am giving it a 9 out of 10. This was the same score I gave Jersey Devil, even though I do like this one slightly more. In the grand scheme of things, I think it's a very good attraction. It is one of the strongest roller coasters at Magic Mountain. This park's lineup is so huge, it's very hard to come up with a ranking of which rides are better than others. To some people, it might be obvious that, oh yeah, of course this is a top 5 roller coaster at the park. But when you have 20 roller coasters to think about, I mean, it's not as easy to say that as you'd think. So let me know down in the comments below if you've had the opportunity to ride Wonder Woman Flight of Courage at Six Flags Magic Mountain, if you agree with the points that I've brought up. If you've also ridden Jersey Devil, let me know how you compare the two and where you rank this in Magic Mountain's lineup. Hope you guys enjoyed this video. Of course, make sure to stay tuned for more here at Coaster Studios, and we'll see you next time.